Hello, welcome back to the Vintage Fisherman. As you can see, I kind of got ahead of this next project. I had two of these Daiwa mini spins, and one of them was a parts reel, and I wanted to take it apart first and see what it's missing. And I know it's missing a little red tab there that catches the spool, which you only need one, but it's not missing the one I need, but still it doesn't look very good. And it's missing drag washers. So I think, let me take this one apart. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it only has two drag washers. I could have swore it had a regular drag stack in them the last time I did one of these, probably 20 years ago. I have one I fish with pretty often, but I haven't took it apart in a long time. I don't really let it get too dirty. But yeah, it only has the one Teflon and the one steel washer in it. So I guess I'm not really missing any drag washers on that one. So I've got two complete reels here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to split the parts by putting my hammer in between them, because I don't want to mix these parts up. Let's take the handle off. Oh gosh, starting off good on this one too. Anyway, this is the Vintage Fisherman, John here, down here in the repair shop, just playing with some of my reels. And if you're new to my channel, I don't repair reels for other people. I only do reels that I use and for my collection. I buy, sometimes sell, sometimes trade reels. I'm not, it's not a business for me. This is a hobby. I have fun with this. So I don't make any money at it. I probably lose money or break even most of the time. I like to take old reels that need a little love and give them some love. And takes me back to my youth, my childhood, when I'm in here working on some of these reels, like reels I've used my whole entire life. I bought one of these mini spins, back, I want to say it was around 1980 or 81. They've been around for a while. They're pretty popular little reels. And well, back in them days they were. Those days, I guess I should say. Pretty bad Appalachian English there, folks. But yeah, they're really good little reels. They're built just like the larger reels, the larger Silver Series reels. Very durable. There's one ball bearing in these in the mini spins. And so we're going to take this one apart. You got the cover. There actually might be a shim in there. I can't really tell. Yes. And that's another reason why I don't want to mix these parts up. That one's got a shim in. I'm sure this one does too. I didn't even pay any attention to it when I took it apart. Yes, it does have a shim. Probably the same size shim. I can measure it with my sliding calipers and see. Now you got a plastic bushing, which could probably be replaced with a bearing if you wanted to. And there's no shims on the back side of that. It's just really dirty and nasty. There's a pin that comes out with the cross wind lever. Then you slide the cross wind block back. That comes out. And then your shaft, or spool shaft, spool, spindle, whatever you want to call it, comes out. And then here's your gear. And that's as far as you need to tear this down. I don't see any shims under the backside. I've never have seen any down there, so it's looking pretty good. Let's take the rotor off of it. That's a 10 millimeter. Take that off. Pull the rotor. We'll take the rotor apart in a minute. Now to get this, I see something down there. It don't look. It's just dirt. Okay. I want to make sure it wasn't a shim. To get to the bearing, you've got to take the anti-reverse dog off. There's a spring in there, folks, and I'll show you how it goes back together when we get done with this thing. So don't lose that little spring. It's very fine. This one over here has got 1, 2, yeah, right there it is. So this reel is complete, you know. Then your anti-reverse dog comes off. It went on, let's just hold that up to the, it went on like that, okay? See here? Take that off. You've got a retaining plate on the bearing. I'm just going to get them loose with this bigger screwdriver and run them with the smaller one. These are very small but very simple little reels. They're fun. They're fun to fish with. I mean, you hook a 1 pound red eye bass on one of these things, and you might as well have Moby Dick on the end of the line. I mean, it's pretty freaking incredible. Then your anti-reverse star comes off, your retaining plate, pull your bearing out, and this is done. You can clean that up. The bearing comes off. There's your pinion gear, and the bearing is going to get soaked right there. I'm using some CLP, Clean, Lube, and Protect. We'll clean those bearings good. They'll soak overnight. Let's take this apart. Your rotor is pretty simple because these have a manual bail trip on them, so you don't have all that bail trip assembly to fail, you know, that can fail on you. Really simple little reels. Daiwa, in my opinion, makes the best the best ultralights on earth. Are microlights. Ultralights, pin, probably strongest ultralight ever made is a 716 Greenie 716Z. You're not going to beat it. The 420 SS, gosh, I mean, life just doesn't get any better. There is a weight that's falling out of there, so I'll make sure that gets glued back in. It doesn't do anything other than just bounce the rotation of the rotor. And then we'll take the bail lever off. Just pull it out because the bail spring's underneath there. I got one screw left to take apart on this reel. It literally took me, what, 5 minutes to do this. That little cover comes off, that little screw. You can leave it in there if you want to, but I'm going to take it off. And that's the whole entire reel right there. That's 2 of them done. I'll come back. I've got to I got to get on with life tonight and do other things, but I will be back hopefully tomorrow to clean these 2 reels up and see what I've got, and you know, I'll put them together, and I think I'm gonna be able to make another reel out of this, but it's just not gonna be pretty without that little red insert right there. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll bring you back tomorrow. Well, welcome back. I got these Daiwa mini spins cleaned up, and I'm ready to put them back together. We'll do them one at a time because I kept the parts separate. There are some shims in this reel, and I didn't want to get those messed up. So let's do this. clean this up a little bit. I've got a little bit of a issue with a weight, a counterweight that goes up in here. We'll glue that in first thing. I use this Loctite extreme glue. It seems to do pretty good for most things. And that went in there like that. The arm, let's build it like this. You've got your, oh, let's get a little bit of grease. Put on there. Get your bell spring, goes in like this. There's a cover that goes over that. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on top of that bell spring so it'll just slide back and forth underneath that cover a little bit better. A little bitty screw goes in there. You can actually put that screw in ahead of time and just slip the cover on it. So I'm gonna go build one of these reels while the camera's rolling, and I'll build the other one off camera. You don't need to see me build two reels. Got the bail arm. We'll slip into slip the spring into the hole in the bail arm, and you just kind of get it started there. It takes a screw, takes the big screw. Just make sure it pops pretty good. That moved around on me a little bit, but that's okay. A little bit of grease into that screw hole because you don't want that thing to oh, no, that's right. It goes on there like that. Another small screw goes in the top of that. Got that tight. Now we're going to put the roller on. Just a little drop of oil, and then the roller, make sure it spins. And you got this little standoff here. It's a little bit dirty yet. Let's see if I can't clean it up with a Q-tip. My ultrasonic cleaner has brand new cleaner in it, but it doesn't seem to be clean as good as it did the last time I cleaned it out. Just a little dab of grease right there. The boss on that goes into the bail arm, like so. And then you've got the screw with the nylon washer behind it, goes into to hold the roller on into the bail arm, and nothing wants to cooperate. Here we go. And always make sure that that screw is not over tightened so that your roller will turn. It'll keep a twist out of your line. It's rolling. So there is the rotor. It should snap fairly easily. We'll adjust this cover a little bit now. give it a little more. Yeah, that's much better. Alright, well, maybe it isn't. I don't know what's going on with that. Alright, rotor is done. Let's work on putting the main body back together. You got your pinion and a bearing. The open side of the bearing, you got a shielded side and an open side. Open side would go to the inside of the reel. I've already lubricated the bearing. Of course, it wants to fight with me just a little bit there. You've got this retaining plate that goes on there, but now make sure you put a little bit of grease in all three of those screw holes. I don't think this thing will ever see salt water, of course, but you know. I've got to get all my little screws together here. How am I missing a screw? I've got an extra over here somehow or another. Don't know how that happened. And I'm going to have to use my tool to get that in there with. So I'm going to use my screw setter. Just pinches on there. Hopefully it'll hold on to it till it gets kind of started here. There we go. You get your anti-reverse cog or sprocket goes on there. Anti-reverse dog. Spring went out here underneath the screw. And I see what I do wrong on the screws here. That thing should pop back and forth pretty smoothly. Well, it did. Okay. There's how that goes. Get the spring goes between the screw and the dog. Okay. I'll fix this in just a second. I actually did put the wrong screw in right there. I'll fix that in a second. So that's all together. A little bit of grease on those threads. And then the nut. It seems okay. Let me change the screw out here. And the reason why it's important really is because, one, I need the part for this reel, because I think I'm gonna go ahead and build it. And two, it's a little bit heavier screw, so it'll help counter the weight a little bit better. Okay, looking good so far. Let's cut the anti-reverse off, get that out of the way. Now, let's see. There's a slide down in there that crosswind block will ride on. Also lubricate that little hole down there the shaft goes through, the spool shaft. Lubricate your pinion really good. And then we're ready for this. Go ahead and lubricate all around it pretty good. Daiwa had lubrication all over that. Just make sure it gets down in the teeth good. And we'll go ahead and put the gear in there. Sitting there like that. And here is the block. I do believe it rides like that. You take your shaft. Got a little bit of crud on it still. That doesn't matter about anything other than just, I'm just really OCD when it comes to cleaning reels. Okay, so your shaft will get a little bit of oil on it. This is your spool shaft. Go in here. You rotate it around, it slips up into that block. Then there's a pin that goes through the block and into the shaft and down into that groove, and it rides back and forth like this because you've got, I'll go ahead and put some grease on this. We're almost done with this reel, believe it or not. It goes, these things go together pretty quick. There's not much to them. You've got this guy here, this crosswind lever, I guess you could say, will go on there like that. See how it looks? You got to have that cut out to clear the housing. And that shim goes down into the body like that. Shim goes in there like that. This could be switched to a bearing if you wanted to buy a bearing for it. They'd make it a 2-bearing reel. It goes in there like that. Plenty of grease here. Also, the other side of that pin rides right here in this housing, so make sure you grease that. A little bit of grease for each one of the screw holes, just so you won't have a fit getting them out the next time. It's kind of like playing pool. You got to think about your next move when it comes to repairing a reel. And you put your screws back in it. And tighten those down. screws down. Make sure everything spins. Now you handle a couple of lubrication points on it. This handle breaks down by you push it in, it turns right there. So you got a couple points there of definitely needing some oil up under there. Of course, on your handle itself. The end of the shaft, just a little bit of lube. I'm setting it up for a left-hand retrieve because that's how I use everything I own. You got a screw with a nylon washer. They'll go in from this other side. To tighten the handle down with. That's made where you can use a coin on it in the field. Not sure why you'd want to switch retrieve hands in the field, but you could if you wanted to. Okay. Let's give it a spin. Nice and smooth. Yeah, the bearing could be a little better, folks, but I'm not going to spend money for a bearing for this reel. Alright, now let's build this drag. I'm going to use just a drop of oil. Then you put your Teflon washer in. You put it over here where the camera can pick it up better. And then another drop of oil. Then you got your keyed washer. And then your hexagonal clip. I had to look that up from my last video. Then this will slide in there like that. Of course, a little grease on there. Never hurt anybody. Put your knob on. And here's where we're going to find out if this drag is put together right. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have more than about a pound of drag on this reel. Pretty good. Nothing wrong with that. A little grease in there for the threads on the cap. Help seal those a little bit more. And this reel, I'm gonna go ahead and mount it on the rod. This reel was made in Japan. You can see it says right there, made in Japan. Pretty smooth little reel. Here's the rod, and you can see how it's made. This actually inserts up in here, and you got this long screw that will eventually go down in there. There it goes. These handles are really bad about breaking on these rods. That's what my original mini spin went back to Daiwa to have the handle repaired. You don't need to crank it reel on there real tight. So anyway, there it is. The two ends of this rod do not match. One, the butt end is black and and the tip end is gray, but they fit together perfectly, and I'm going to fish this combo. And there it is. So I appreciate you watching. That's a pretty simple little reel, nothing fancy about it. They're very good reels. But I appreciate you watching. Please like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and come back. I've got more content coming. I got some pretty cool stuff coming, actually. So this is John, the Vintage Fisherman. I appreciate you watching. Have a good one.